to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 214 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jason Yeager, and if you want to know where the chiropractic profession is headed with research and development, stay tuned. All right, really exciting interview here with you guys. We have Dr. Jason Yeager coming in from Las Vegas, Nevada. And just happens to be we're in the same time zone. So many people we interview from all over the world and all over the country, but we are coming in from Grand Junction, which is in Colorado, and we're about 4.5 hours or 6 or 7 hours from you. So welcome to our show. Thank you for being our guest today.
Hey, it's really great to see both of you guys.
And you are episode 214 of our Chiro Hustle podcast. And I know this one's going to be fast and furious with a lot of information and a lot of connection. And just want to thank you so much for the leadership that you're presenting within Chiropractic BioPhysics and what you're doing as an innovator and as what you're doing as a leader in this profession.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate that. 214, that's interesting. That's Valentine's Day. So sounds like a lucky interview.
Hey, if that can give us more love pushing forward with the chiropractic message, I'm all about that.
Amen.
So without further ado, I know that you've been practicing chiropractic for a few years now.
Yes.
Would you mind telling everybody your chiropractic story and what really influenced you to get into this beautiful profession?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my family came to Vegas in the late 40s. My grandfather had come to Vegas to do construction with a new idea called neon signs. New casinos were starting to pop up, and we hit the right stride. So my grandfather had chiropractic his whole life when it was really, really like taboo. My mom grew up with chiropractic. And then somehow, some way, I was never exposed to it my whole life. I don't know why, but fast forward, I'm at UNLV in my undergrad, and I'm a jouster and a sword fighter at the Excalibur Hotel, and I'm on my way to work, and this cute, sweet little old man pulls right out in front of me, and I crash right into his front axle, a big Gran Torino, 45-mile-an-hour impact. They had to tow both of our vehicles away. Police officer was sitting there, watched the whole thing. After he wrote everything up, he put me in the police car, drove me to the Excalibur Hotel, and I went and I sword fought 2 shows. Went home, went to bed, woke up, couldn't move, and I could move, but I was in so much pain that I didn't know what to do, and I was upset and a wreck, and so I'm an 18-year-old young man, and first thing I do is call mommy. Mommy's like, "You're going to go see a chiropractor." And then I really cried. So I'm like, "Oh no, they're going to crack me." And I had no idea what was going on. I emphatically said no. And she was more powerful. She's like, "You are going." So a couple of my buddies from the show came to the house, literally picked me up, put me in the car. I felt every pothole on the ride to see the chiropractor, got in there, got examined, got x-rayed. They showed me that my neck curve had been damaged and that was likely a big cause of my problem and my injuries and my pain. And so after about 90 days, I felt bigger, better, stronger than even before the crash from chiropractic. And my doctor, she was working on me to become a chiropractor. I was pre-law. And, I was like, no. And then the closer I got and the greater results I got, I was yes. So finally, I literally had that light bulb moment. It popped up above my head. I saw it. I felt it. Everything was brighter. And I knew that I was going to be a chiropractor. And I've never turned back.
And you've been contributing at such a high level since 1999 within the chiropractic profession, from your upstart as being a solopreneur. And now I've been working with you for over 10 years as knowing you as a friend. And one of the things I know that you've done is really push the envelope for Advancement of Chiropractic with the traction unit, which is called the Universal Traction System. Would you
Right.
mind sharing on how you thought that was going to be something that would make an impact for the profession?
Yeah. So it's funny how life goes, because growing up as a sign manufacturing kid, I learned all the metal shop back office stuff. So fast forward, now I'm a chiropractor and I get hired in an office that's CBP, Chiropractic BioPhysics. I didn't know what it was. I knew that there was a lot more to learn after I graduated. It was pretty intimidating. But when I looked at the machines that you had to use to fix a neck curve or a hunchback or scoliosis, they look pretty barbaric. A lot of times they were made out of 4x4s and eye bolts from Home Depot, and they just didn't have that impress wow factor that I wanted for chiropractic and for my profession I was so proud of. So literally within the first year, I, along with two other docs that I was working with as a new young grad, we worked together. We conceptualized a machine that would do it all. And as we tried to figure out what to name it, like, are we going to name it the Jason Special or the Al Special or the Super Duper Deed? We decided, well, it does everything. It's universal. So let's call it the Universal Tractioning Systems. And that was the birth of a benchmark of equipment that's used in CBP today.
And I love the Chiropractic BioPhysics family. You guys have done so much to do research and development for chiropractic and to really show people that research matters. And I love the idea around traction, because you have to go slow to go fast methodology, and that you have to curve correct in order to restore functionality. And, as I learned more about working in a chiropractic biophysics clinic as a tech, I learned that if you did work very slowly and methodically, the outcomes were far more superior than any other thing else that I ever saw happen in the chiropractic world. Because like you said, when you were younger, you're like, oh, I got to go get cracked. But it's much more than that. If you look at it from like a remodeling and a restructuring style philosophy, is the body is self-healing, but it needs a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, there's a normal anatomy, okay, and no one's a perfect exact anatomy, but there's a normal range of anatomy, and there are three curves in the spine: neck, mid back, low back. Spine should be straight from the front, and for the spinal cord to really deliver its sensory motor neuro function, it needs to go through a properly shaped spinal column, and the adjustment is in a long enough moment to make that change permanently. So all traction is, and I'm talking about corrective traction, not just long axis distraction. It's an adjustment. It's a chiropractic adjustment that takes 15 minutes.
So what are some of your mantras that keep you fired up, or what are some of your favorite motivational quotes?
I'm a geek, you guys. So I'm that weird, like 5-10% analytical mindset. So here's one of my favorite things: evidence and ethics times 10. And number 11 is that we're not for nonprofit.
Yeah. And that just comes back to the business brain, into, the lawyer, the pre-law brain when you think about like things making sense, calculations add up. And I love where you're going with, the mindset around mantra quote, because sometimes people are like, yeah, I love what, Mike Tyson says, or I love what, Gandhi would say. And it's really cool that when you think about it, it is about impact and numbers. I always like the old quote that people lie, numbers don't.
Yeah. You got to bring the data, right? So you build on a historic chiropractic foundation of something that really rings true to us. Chiropractic works, right? Well, let's put some numbers to it. So we've got this premise, which is the core of our philosophy, which is where we started. Okay, great. Now let's start researching that, right? Let's get the data. And so that's what CBP has done for the profession. Is we've taken that three-pronged stool and we're bringing the evidence.
And before we get to the next question, Can we tell people that might be watching or listening to this that what chiropractic biophysics really is, so we can kind of clear up the acronym of CBP? Because I get it, Luke gets it, and
Yeah.
people in our inner circle get that. But what really is chiropractic biophysics?
So the acronym CBP is Chiropractic BioPhysics, and that's the group, the approach in chiropractic. It's a subspecialty approach. That's a biomechanically based approach that's designed to analyze someone to see if their alignment falls within a range of published normal, and if it doesn't, to evoke this approach into restoring that normal or getting that patient as close back to their normal as they can. The goal of the approach isn't about a line on an X-ray. The goal of the approach is to give vital function back to the human being. Okay, but that's inherent in correcting the structure. So the other acronym for CBP is Clinical Biomechanics of Posture. The International Chiropractors Association, the ICA, is where the CBP diplomate is housed. It's a robust 420-hour diplomate in clinical biomechanics. So both are called CBP. The technique is chiropractic biophysics. The diplomate is clinical biomechanics of posture.
Well said, well said. I just think that would clear up this conversation that people are going to be listening to, and they're like, well, what are they really talking about?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm proud to say we just finished our 42nd annual research symposium in Dallas, Texas last weekend. We now have over 260 papers in the scientific peer-reviewed literature and in very robust journals, Spine, Annals of Physical Medicine, European Spine, physical therapy journals, radiology journals, chiropractic journals. And our research is always multidisciplined. We've got chiropractors, PTs, medical doctors, biomechanic PhDs. It's a very well-rounded, well-supported approach. So you can find this research, any one of you, by going to the nonprofit page. It's cbpnonprofit.com. That's cbpnonprofit.com. Then you click on the research tab, and virtually all of the 260 plus papers are there with full links.
So how do you think the world would change if everyone started getting adjusted normally? And maybe not just regular adjusted, but CBP style?
Well, just starting off with, if everybody would get chiropractic adjustments, one thing that would happen is that we would see this beautiful profession have cultural authority. Cultural authority is killer. So you go to a scientist, a PhD scientist, Fauci, or you go to a medical doctor, and the general public, they hear that and they find that, they hold that to be true gospel. Chiropractic hasn't reached that yet, right? We're getting there, and I really feel that we're cresting the summit, but we're driving towards that cultural authority and everybody getting chiropractic care. Look, if you've had it, right? We go back to it works. If you've had an adjustment, and does it make a symptom feel better? Heck yeah, we know that, but there's so much more to it and so many amazing, amazing experiences that human beings have had from chiropractic.
And I just want to turn the page back to you, the practitioner. And I know that you have some facilities in the Las Vegas area. Can you talk a little bit about opening those up and what they mean to have you be a lighthouse for your community with those clinics?
Yeah, you bet. So not only do we have clinics in Las Vegas, but we actually have already branched out into Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we're now just out of Nevada and shooting to have 20 to 50 offices nationwide. If you want to look into us, we're at spineandposture.com, www.spineandposture.com. What has our group done? We've taken a core of chiropractic-based practitioners, and then we've brought in medical doctors, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, doctors of physical therapy. We've brought in a whole team working for healthcare, not sick care, working on getting people from pain and symptoms into vital life and living the life of their dreams. How do we do that? We identify their problem, evidence, and ethics, present to them an approach, they make a choice, because that's part of evidence-based healthcare is patient choice. They make a choice, they undergo the care, and we see it all day, every day, life-changing results.
And I mean, I saw your flagship clinic where I came out there and visited you and saw the operations that you're running inside of there. And I was impressed then. And I can only imagine like where you're at right now with now opening up new clinics in Michigan and where this vision's headed towards. And I'm really, just honored to be able to interview you today, just because I've always looked at what you've done is so powerful and important for the chiropractic profession. And some people don't know, like the people that are behind the scenes, like really doing a lot of heavy lifting and work for the profession to get us to the point where chiropractic is a highly respected profession, and where people are saying, you know what, chiropractic first, chiropractic second, chiropractic third, chiropractic fourth, and on down the line. And when you house it underneath that idea of a real model of health providers instead of sick care providers, now we're actually giving people what they want. And I think that that's what people are going towards right now. Is they're like, I just want to feel good, and I want to have like a resource that tells me the truth about my health and will spend some time with me, give me a proper exam, and give me like a plan to get an outcome. And that's what I've always loved about where your head's been and what you've been doing with the network that you've involved yourself with to actually take chiropractic to that level of, I want that.
Well, I appreciate that. I've got a friend of mine in Nevada. When we had taken our group from chiropractic to being integrated with all the different healthcare disciplines, he was mad at me, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're selling out." And so he was pretty upset about it. He was upset and told a couple other people in our sphere about that. And eventually we got on a call, and I said, "Why didn't you come to me with this?" And he's like, "Well, I was just so upset, and I don't want you to be a sellout." And I said, "Well, let me give you another perspective. I want you to walk around the wheel with me and come over to the 180-degree side and look at it from my side. Have you ever thought that I converted a medical provider and a physical therapy provider, PAs and nurse practitioners, to a chiropractic lifestyle? Did you think about it that way?" And he just went, "Oh, Jason, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't think about it that way." I'll tell you guys, though, all the different healthcare provider types, they're so relieved to not be in a drug prescribing environment and in a churn and burn environment and in a sick care negative environment. Did you know PAs in PA school, they're trained when they walk into an exam room to get their back as far away to the wall and as far away from the patient as they can, just in case something goes wrong or there's danger, right? Like we come right in and we're going to put our arm around you and touch you, right? And get involved and engage. So anyhow, it's really neat seeing those light bulbs turn on and changing the sick care model to healthcare.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle. Yeah, I was not aware of that when a physician's assistant's trained to actually keep distance. Yeah. And, a chiropractor is very tactical. They want to start like palpation and exam and range of motion and orthopedic exam and find out like what the body's actually doing and the functionality. And that's what I've really always loved about the chiropractic profession, that it was hands-on and that you guys were restoring health back to people with hands only. And you guys were able to actually like go in and like find somebody that thought that they were like, broken or couldn't be fixed. And you're like, yeah, we create this type of environment where now we can pay attention to your biomechanics. We can like measure this, and the outcome is your health and your happiness. And that's really what turns the mind on. And that's what I've talked to a lot of people about with chiropractic is most people just don't know the power of the adjustment, but the power of the profession. And so many people have this, like you said, even in other medical disciplines, they have the adjustment that they need above the atlas. And that's to integrate them to understand that chiropractic is a life-giving profession, and it's not a sick care modality. It says, hey, send us the sickest of the sick, even though that's possible, but send us the healthiest of the healthy, and we can help them too.
That's right. We'll keep them there. And that's the goal, right?
So where do you see chiropractic in general going in the next 20 years or so?
Luke, I see us continuing to develop that cultural authority and becoming more and more ingrained into our society, and as truly the pillar and the first choice that people go to for their healthcare needs. We're cresting the summit, right? We're right there. You ask anybody where you go for a spine problem, anybody, and almost 9 out of 10 times they're like, well, chiropractor, right? That's the expert. It's the spine expert.
Yeah, and I've come to find that too, is when you ask people about like a specific part of the body, and that's what we've done really well in this culture, is subdivide people's bodies into like, oh, if you have a heart, go see the that person. If you have a brain, go see that person. Well, if you see the spine, go see the chiropractor. And we've done a really good job of like deconstructing the body down to zones.
Right.
But what people don't really understand is like when you start seeing the chiropractor, it has an influence on your heart. When you start seeing the chiropractor, it has an influence on your brain. Yeah. So there's all these parts of the nervous system that correlate to the organ system, that when things are functioning properly at the nervous system, now we have like this amazing ability for people to actually thrive. And I love the conceptualization and the research now that backs that up. And I know that what you've done now is, there's another acronym that you're involved with, is the NBCE. And I know that that's something that you've worked very hard to become a part of. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit on what you're doing with that group now and what that means for you to be in a position with.
Yeah, for sure. So the pathway to get involved with there's 2 organizations at a national level. There's the Federation of Chiropractic Licensing Boards, and then the National Board of Chiropractic Examiners. You had to have served already at a state level as a regulator. So prior to serving as a regulator, typically the pathway is that you started off with the executive board of your state association. All of this is service, right? First year, you're helping chiropractors through an association level. Then you move into regulating and making sure that we're protecting the public. And so I've done those pathways through the years. Recently, I concluded being president of the Nevada Board of Chiropractic Examiners. And I had an opportunity at our annual meeting for the NBCE to run for District 4 director. So there's 5 directors, five areas that represent and divide up the United States. District 4 is 10 states. So I ran for that office and I was elected. That put me in as one of the executive board members for the NBCE. So NBCE, National Board of Chiropractic Examiners, we write, set, administer all of the final educational testing as a student comes out of chiropractic school and prepares to go in and get licensed in a state and then deliver care to the public. So it's an important role. We're doing some real big things with the potential to bring the national examinations to the world. And so that's a hot button and it's on our agenda. And it's really a position to make a big difference in our profession right now.
Yeah, and as I realized that you'll probably be coming through Colorado a lot more now.
Yeah, you're right. I've been up in Greeley, right north of you, instead of you're south of Denver. But I've been up in Greeley twice in the last 2 or 3 months, and it's going to be a regular thing now.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a real honor. And I'm not on this call today, representing the NBC per se, right? But proud to tell everybody that I'm serving our profession now in that capacity.
So who are some of your heroes? Who are the people that you've looked up to and aspired to over the years?
Dave Grohl.
Nice.
Foo Fighters. Dave, if you're seeing this, I just think that you're a hero. You're a poet. I love everything you've done, from Nirvana to being the entire band of the Foo Fighters. And then I watched you rebuild that band back up. it was great to meet you at the Cosmo when you played New Year's Eve right after Duran Duran. And yeah, you're a hero of mine.
So if you had to pick any one person to sit down and have lunch with, would it be him?
Well, yeah, I'd love to sit down and have lunch with Dave Grohl or dinner or a dessert. I think he's a real super cool dude. Another really, really important hero that I got to interact with is Don Harrison. And Don Harrison is a father to many of us, certainly those of us in chiropractic. And he was a super polarizing man, brilliant, chiropractic doctorate, math masters, PhD in math. Actually, the master's was in biomechanics. Just like a brilliant, brilliant man. Practiced as well. Taught nonstop across the country. You loved him or you hated him. I loved him. I loved his gruff manner. I loved his no nonsense. And for me, the mathematical logic that he applied to our profession to make our profession make sense was just such a relief. Because when I got out of school, frankly, I was confused. I mean, here's the spinal column, right? And here's 2 thoracic vertebrae. And so what they were telling us was that one vertebra could move all by itself to the right and then bend. And then independent of all the muscles and the ligaments and the facets, while the rest of the vertebrae stayed right where they were. And then they came up with this really antiquated, weird nomenclature. And that just didn't make any sense to me. Like this one vertebra, maybe if it was a trauma and there was damage or fracture or instability, but what Don Harrison gave us in chiropractic was a sense and a logic to our profession that I think you could talk to the general public and make it digestible and make sense. And the results I've seen in my career not only changed my life, but I've changed, tens of thousands of lives in chiropractic.
Well, knowing what I know, because, I was brought up in the CBP camp and I was able to watch every video that Deed ever had done. Mm-hmm. And if you guys are watching this, Deed Harrison's Don Harrison's son, and he is now at the helm of the Chiropractic BioPhysics non-for-profit. And as I was able to see what Deed was talking about, me being a mathematic minded person, me being a non-chiropractic minded person at that point, I was just getting fully dipped in this high level knowledge base of what chiropractic was from that perspective. And that's what I knew chiropractic to be. So when I started in on the career of chiropractic, I'm like, wow, this all makes sense to me, because if we could just correct people's curves, then we could correct their lives. And that's what it all came down to me, as being like a guy from the sidelines. I was just like, yeah, I can help do this. And yeah, this is righteous. And yeah, this is awesome. And I want to see a lot more people. And I want everybody to see a lot more people. So it always was really an exciting thing for me to do, is to be a part of that system, but also to learn from Deed and to be able to study the videos that he had done so I could understand how to implement this strategy. And I think that that's just a huge gift of what you're talking about, is the chiropractic biophysics method. Yeah. And what it does for not only the practitioner, but what it does for the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that are actually receiving that care.
I'll tell you what, this is super exciting, and the world hasn't reacted to this yet, but there's a paper that came out within the last year, and it's akin to an asteroid or the moon landing in the Pacific. It's that big. So chiropractic, what we've said is that a subluxation affects the nervous system and affects your brain function and affects your spinal cord and your body function. Deed published a paper that showed forward head posture and loss of neck curve, when corrected, improved sensory somatic function and rate of speed of that electrical impulse by 10%. So let's apply that in the real world, because I'm talking geeky, right? I'm telling you that your brain can fire your sensory motor reaction time 10% faster if you correct your posture, forward head, and your neck curve. What are the implications? Every sport, military, day-to-day function, activities of life. And the study was done with 3-month follow-up. So the effects remain for 3 months. That's it. Mic drop. Holy grail. Subluxation proven. Reducing a subluxation, a lack of the neck curve, and a forward head posture improves nerve function. Game over. Huge.
And that ties into this whole concept where we're at right now, the atmosphere of health in our nation.
Right.
And really people are so confused. And I think it goes back to the thing I may talk about 100 times a day, know, like, and trust.
Right.
And when you have the resources, the research, now you know. And when chiropractic becomes the go-to for the health industry to say chiropractic helps not only for this, but it really helps with your nervous system.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's looking, these biohackers, these people that are like, hey, I do this different to do this. Well, if you have longevity of life with activities of daily living that are better because of the chiropractic adjustment helping with the subluxation, now people are like, wow, this is like really important.
Yeah.
And now we've changed, like you said, mic drop, game changer.
Yep, 100%, 100%. One of the big biohackers right now, Ben Greenfield. You met Ben before, right?
Yep.
Ben came to us and asked us to do a podcast in retort to Joe Rogan when Joe Rogan did the real slash on us with that gal called Cy Babe, and it was just a slash and burn on chiropractic. And so my good friend Bill Smith, a neurosurgeon here in Vegas, and I went to Joe Rogan and we said, well, let us do the rebuttal. He wouldn't let us on, but Greenfield, who's definitely into the biohacking, he brought us on and we did the retort. So that's worth a listen. Listen to the Rogan first, and it'll make you real mad. And then look up Jason Yeager and Ben Greenfield, and you'll see my retort. And I think you'll enjoy the listen. Again, it's super geeky and analytical, right? I'm not the yeller and the super big emotion guy, but I think you'll walk away with some amazing pearls.
So what's some advice that you might give to a struggling student right now?
Well, you should get out and spend some time in clinics so you keep in touch with why you went to chiropractic school. I hope for those of you that chose to go to chiropractic that you have a chiropractic story. And then at the same time, I appreciate the fact that more and more people are going into it for a profession and not having that story. But man, the emotion behind the why is really, really a big driver. So get out in a clinic, volunteer, help, get hands on. And then this field, like other healthcare fields, we have specialties, right? And so figure out what you gravitate towards. You know, you might not be the analytical biophysics guy. Be a libertarian, you know, trust what you do. I'll trust what I do, you know, don't tread on me. And figure out where your spirit takes you.
Do you think they should pick a school based on geography?
Well, man, is that a loaded question. I don't like to see the direction that a subsection our profession is going about going against imaging. There's some major flaws in that opinion piece that association put out. And so, you know, at this point, I'd like to say that we want to support the schools that are supporting approaches like chiropractic biophysics, supporting the science of subluxation, and then not ignoring the philosophy of chiropractic. We need to have that. So I had a young man call me today and ask that very question: where should I go? And I told him to look at Life West. Those are my number one choices: East Coast, West Coast, and then Palmer, Davenport.
Well, I appreciate your philosophy and your truth in chiropractic. And I know that at this juncture, we always like to ask the amazing chiropractors that we get to talk to maybe share a little bit about themselves. Maybe you could tell us what some of your hobbies are. I know you're an amazing family man. I know that you probably enjoy Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
What are some of your hobbies, and what do you listen to, and what do you like to read?
I've got the gypsy in me, so I love to travel, and that works out. Getting to travel with Deed and CBP satisfies that element of the wanderlust. So that's very, very satisfying for me. I love teaching. That makes me happy. I'm a Harley rider. I've been riding motorcycles since I was 12 years old. Every type of extreme sport I could do when I was younger. I don't get to do them as much now after a lot of injuries. I love spending time with my kids and with my wife. My kids are now 16 and 17. So gone are the days of daddy, 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 right? Now it's, hey, dad. But I love those boys. I'm so proud of them. I've crafted some amazing human beings that are going to do some great things for the world and in their generation. Right now I'm reading a book called Traction, and it's not about CBP. So I highly recommend you look up the book Traction. It is an integral, critical, important part of your business development. My favorite pleasure novel is The Last Kingdom, and it's a fictional character, Uhtred of Bebbanburg, tied into historically accurate Alfred the Great pre-England history, and so. That's my downtime when I'm doing pleasure reading.
All right, so let's just make sure I have all of these correct. cbpnonprofit.com,
right?
spineandposture.com,
yeah,
nbce.org.
You got it. Let me throw one more in there for our traction manufacturing company. So Universal Tractioning Systems is a product of CBP's. That's a product I developed and patented, and it's in CBP clinics around the country. That website is utsspine.com, utsspine.com. So you can go there and check out more about UTS.
Awesome.
Dr. Jason, I know that you have a hard stop with us today, and I know that you've given some of your generous time to talking to our audience today, and to share some knowledge that you have, and to hopefully inspire some people to love chiropractic just a little bit more, because your episode is 214.
That's right. That's right.
I value you. I value your time. And I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest today.
Hey, I appreciate you both so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully we see you in Colorado soon.
Sounds great, guys.
See you, Jason.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.